Hey, I was just wanting to make a intro to this next video. It's with Alexander Backman and Dan Duval. It's to do with some very very grim subject, and it's more or less focusing on what I call one arm of the octopus of evil, and there's several that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there's others that I'm not, but I just will mention you know, the Bolshevist, you know, the Freemasons that Bill Cooper and so many others have exposed at the highest levels, and United Nations. They're the transhumanists, and it just goes on and on. I mean, I don't really know who's behind Monsanto. Probably one of these groups, probably this one here. That's we know who's behind satanic Hollywood and the music industry. Anyway, just wanted to say that even though this does focus on that mainly one arm, there are many others, and and this information is not to cause fear or hate or anything like that. It's information, and we just need to be aware of how get more and more of a glimpse maybe of how deep this goes, and I don't know what good it does, but we just have to stand against it. That's all I know to say. I mean, I don't know how we can stop it other than to just stand against it and stand firm and just prepare ourselves. So that's enough rambling for me, so take care.
They released these two white doves, these children, and basically what happened is a seagull and a crow, a black crow, attacked these white doves that came out flying. Well, you know, when you do an action, any action, you light a candle or you light incense or whatever you do, there's an intention, a spiritual intention behind that. When they release these doves, there's a spiritual, and I can tell you this right now, nefarious intention behind that. Oh, they can look like white, beautiful doves of peace, but they're not birds of peace, because the demonic element that's releasing the doves through the Pope, okay, is demonic in itself. So yeah, I mean, they can pose as sheep, and in reality they're dressed, they're wolves in sheep's clothing. The same thing here. That crow represents the Holy Spirit destroying what the Vatican is doing, deceiving the nations. Because crows are not necessarily bad. If you read your Bible, in Isaiah, it shows that, I don't know, somebody was taken to a safe haven across the Jordan River. I read it the other day. And the crows gave them food. I don't remember which one of the...
I believe that was Elijah.
Elijah, thank you. Elijah was taken across the Jordan River, right, to safety because they wanted to kill him. And the crows gave him food, you know, and sustenance, because the Lord said so. So not seeing the crow is not the satanic element itself. The satanic element is the institution that has forsaken Christianity and has posed as a Christian front for all the nations. The Vatican is far from that. We have everything to understand that the Vatican is the capital of the international crime syndicate. When we talk about drugs, when we talk about arms, when we talk about wars and rumors of wars, the Jesuit operation inside the Vatican controls all warfare on planet Earth. I mean, there's no false flag event or event that might happen militarily if it's not first approved by the regional councils of the Jesuits and the general superior of the Jesuits, who controls basically the Vatican itself and controls the Pope. Now that we got a Pope, this Pope Francis guy, who now controls the papal seat, who passes off as a vicar of Christ, has nothing to do with Jesus Christ at all, okay? He can dress in white all he wants, okay? He just had a meeting with Ratzinger, who is You know, he's a wanted man around the world. There's an arrest warrant in Europe for Ratzinger for pedophilia, genocide. I mean, you name it. There's even accusations right now in Holland.
When I was 4 years old, I'm the oldest one from the whole family, and it's a church ritual from what is in the Bible. The first born should be offered to God. And that was what they did to me when I was 4 years old. And then they put me on my stomach on the table. And the vicar, he put his fingers in my vagina, and it was bleeding. And then my grandfather did it, not with his fingers, but with his penis, and all they were singing and then my uncle did the same, and it took an hour before they were ready in the hole. It was a blanket, a white blanket for I was on laying, but it was totally red. My grandfather, he paid the figure for this holy sacrificing thing, and I was kapot. Broken. And afterwards I had to go more than once a week to my grandfather's house to let myself abuse by him. And then he raped me, and also my uncle did the same to me, and sometimes it was in the bedroom, sometimes it was in where the cows were.
Who were your grandpa and uncle and all of them connected to that they were involved in this ritualistic rape and abuse? What is the connection? Is it like a Freemasons or cult or satanic organization?
For me it's from the church. And
you said the vicar was present at the ceremony. How did you know he was the vicar? Were they calling him by that name, or did you recognize him? Or
I know it.
You know it, yeah.
Try to bring you, to put you in a position that you are unable to do things, and to make your
feel guilty.
Yeah, feel guilty. When I was 5 years old, the house doctor did come, who always also gave me the pills after the ritual, and he learned he taught my parents how to torture me with electricity. Then he bound me on the table and gave me electricity through my fingers or hands and feet, and afterwards, when that was done, I was always naked. He stimulated the clitoris to give me a clitoral orgasm. So torturing and orgasm should go together. And that was, he came 3 times to teach my parents that, and it was my mother who had to do it.
So your mother used to give you an orgasm?
Yeah.
Stimulate you?
Yeah.
Your mother was sexually abusing you too?
Yeah. My mother trained me, and it was a training for the Freemasons, it's an examination, a kind of examination, if they will come through or not, if they are really pedophile or...
so it's initiation,
yeah.
you mean? Okay.
And that was at about 5-6 kilometers from our home. There was a small castle in the wood, in the forest, and they brought me there when I was 6 years old.
Let's talk about the castle in the forest.
The house doctor, he was the one who took me there. Then he put an ooievaarsbek.
Slotjesbeek.
That thing you put into when you go to the gynecologist,
Yeah.
a cold metal duck looking thing.
Yeah, duck.
Yeah.
How do you call it?
We call it a duck.
A duck. He put a duck in my vagina, and then he stimulated the clitoris. So there I got an orgasm. And the one who couldn't have, or who didn't get an erection, fell down there was one hole in the circle, and then that hole went open and he fell out through it, and during that falling, how it was exactly done, I don't know, but the man got out of his hole.
Okay, so just because he didn't get an erection, looking
Yeah,
at you having this done to you, they cut off
If
his
they-
penis and threw him down a hole.
Yeah. They went downstairs, and there the men, they had to do necrophilia with that dead body.
So this is the one who got his... So the other men had to do that with him?
What did they do exactly?
To penetrate him.
Anally?
I'm sorry.
Like, from behind? Yeah, yeah. It's okay, relax.
And then the one who didn't come through that act, or could not penetrate, had to come to me again, because then I was upstairs, or they put a cross knife in my, the doctor did it, the bok, or the devil, in my vagina.
So was it pointing down, out?
They-
Not inside, it was pointing out?
No, the blade was out.
Okay.
It's not a handle, it was a tool.
Yeah. Okay.
It was not to give me pain, it was to make the penis from the...
Okay. Just so you can clarify. So the man who didn't want to penetrate necrophilia had to then come to you.
Yeah.
You had a blade inside of you? And what happened?
He had to penetrate me again, and that gave that his penis was splitting up. And that did happen in different places, also in the south of Holland, in Limburg. There was in IJs a small castle where they brought me, and there were more men together, and they put me naked on a table to play with me, and afterwards they brought me to a torturing room where I was also tortured, and there were also...
Were the other children involved?
No, I would like this to... It was not only the torturing, and it were not only men who raped me, but also in eyes it was also a dog who raped me.
Sorry?
A dog.
Dog.
And on that castle where the Freemasons examination was, there were also, it was in the forest, they had some hunting. They hunted, I would like to say us. There were more, me and also my sister, and there were more. But it was at night, it was dark.
What did they do exactly on the hunting?
What I remember, I was naked and it was cold, and there was on my feet, I put my feet in a clam or so I couldn't go on any longer.
I'm sorry, on a what?
Like a bear trap, a clamp.
Yeah. Like you had a trap around it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And it was hunting with dogs, not with a gun, but it was, and they were on horses. It was with Prince Bernhard.
I'm sorry, who?
Prince Bernhard, the former
And
king of...
Cardinal Alfring.
Cardinal.
Alfring.
How do you spell that?
A-L.
A-L?
F.
F.
R-I-N-K.
R-I-N-K.
He was a Catholic cardinal?
Yes. Yeah.
And the Prince Bernhard.
Yeah, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, the man who set up Bilderberg. And the World Wildlife Federation.
How old were you when this happened? The hunting?
At about 9,
No.
9, 10 years old, 7. During that whole period it happened. And it was not only in that forest. But they put the dogs to hunt us. And then when you could not go on, and there was that clam around my feet, the dogs, they raped us, and they were laughing and putting jokes on me.
How many men did this?
What I know or what I see is 2 men, but probably there were more, I don't know.
Were there other children involved? Were you the only child, or was the others with you?
I know that I heard crying or screaming, and it was my sister, and she didn't take part afterwards on those hunting parties. But with me, they took me to England, to Wales, Scotland.
Who took you?
The doctor.
I'm sorry, hunting parties in Wales? And
In Carnarvon Castle, and in nearby Fort Williams in Scotland.
being
2 years ago.
Carmen was here with 3 other girls. The other girls are all beaten to death. One is they put petrol on it or burned her.
Gas to burn the body?
No, when she was alive.
When she was alive, burned.
And one is beaten to death with sticks. And the third one, I don't know at this moment what happened to her. And Carmen, she was very scared. She could not say anything. She was on her knees laying, and after that, there were a lot of. She told that about 20 people here around her. One of them was my father, and one of them was her father. And her father, he raped her afterwards.
Yeah, on the spot.
And this was, you say, 2 years ago?
When she was just 12, it was 2.5 years ago. It was around November, December 2010.
November 2010.
Wow.
That he killed little children in a hunting sport game, just like the Hunger Games. These people hunt children in the black forests of Holland.
Let me just interrupt you for a second there, because
yeah, go ahead.
if you want testimony about this practice, where certain elites they go out and hunt children, or just pretend like they're going to hunt them and then catch them and rape them. I mean, this is just the book Transformation of America, Kathy O'Brien's book, she details that in her testimony, that these things, they happened not only to her, but to her daughter and to other slaves that were involved in these, mind control projects. And she was MK Ultra, monarch programming. But, this is not, just a random story out there. As a matter of fact, I know somebody personally that I met when I was in Tulsa that told me themselves, my dad took me to this thing, and they stripped me, and they made me, do this, and they shot guns, and then the one that got to catch me, I mean, it's just horrible. I was speaking face-to-face to an individual that testified to the exact thing you're talking about. But anyway, please continue.
Yeah, well, not only that. I mean, we got an eyewitness. She's 40 years old. She's all traumatized and all jittery and jumpy because of all the trauma she had. Gang raped by Prince Bernhard and all these people, okay, for years. And all these children are taken out into the woods. I mean, what happens in Belgium stays in Belgium, right? Until now we know that all these victims are coming out from Belgium, from Holland, from Bavaria, and the Illuminati territory. And they do rape these poor little children. They traumatize them so much, and then they kill them off, okay? So when we talk about the central institution of that has given the blessing to all these acts of torture and mayhem and their inquisition, which is still ongoing, is the Vatican. The Vatican is a sovereign state that Mussolini gave sovereign status again with the Lateran Treaty, and that should have never have happened. And now we have a problem that nobody can touch them. And the Jesuit operation is, all these are soldiers. They're highly trained intelligence assets. They control major universities, Fordham. They control Georgetown. I mean, look at all the precedents that have come out in the United States. Jefferson Clinton studied at Georgetown University. And they're all Jesuit operations. This is what Alex Jones never wants to talk about. He never wants to talk about the true problem behind the New World Order and the Illuminati, which is, in fact, the Jesuits. The Jesuits, look, the Illuminati fears the Jesuits. That's how powerful the Jesuit operation has become. And now that they announced their New World Pope, because that's what it was announced on the headlines, okay, in Ireland. Wow. I have the screenshot. It's on my website, New World Pope. And I'm going to put that link right now in the chat room so people can read my article. Okay, there it is. I wrote it in Spanish. I know you might not know Spanish, but put it into a Google Translator, and maybe Google will track why you are reading that. But this guy that they brought out of Argentina, put him as Pope, he's a Jesuit operation. Now, when we talk about the Jesuits, when we talk about Cardinal Spellman, who killed John F. Kennedy, and Knights of Columbus, when we see the operations unraveling, when we really get and go into depth into studying who these people are, when you have people like ERIC JON PHELPS.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
And let's not
Phelps.
forget one more. I want to give you guys, those of you listening, one more. Excellent book called 50 Years in the Church of Rome by Charles CHINIQUY. Now, this guy was a personal advisor to President Abraham Lincoln. You knew him personally. And in his book, he was a priest in the Catholic Church. He was in Canada for a long time. Then he came to the U.S. He knew the whole thing, the runaround, the Jesuits. He got to know them real good. He exposed in his book, which was written, I mean, he didn't publish it until his death. He said, it can't be published until I die because I would like to die a natural death. In his book, he exposed how the Jesuits were behind everything having to do with the Civil War itself. They wanted a separated nation. They wanted North and they wanted South because if the nation was divided, it was easier to conquer. Abraham Lincoln became their #1 opponent when he refused to allow the South to stay separate and to allow the South to become the permanent enemy of the North. He united the nation, and they had to take him out. And they did. And he exposes how they did it and all the things. I mean, when I read this book, I said, oh, my gosh. And this guy was a true insider. I mean, he really was in the system looking at it from an inside-out perspective. If you want some history, brief history lesson, get the book 50 Years in the Church of Rome by Charles CHINIQUY. Amazing text. Anyway, please continue.
Well, all these documents that have been very well documented. I mean, I got 700 slides about the Jesuits. I've read them all. I've gone into the books. I've read the books. I've read the Committee of 300. I've read everything you can read about the New World Order, okay?
Wow.
Yes, I've read everything. For more than 20 years I've been on this, okay? And I finally came to understand, okay, all these people in the pinnacular structure of the world elite, there has to be, like at a pyramid, you know, where you get to the apex of the pyramid, there has to be a person or an appointed person on this planet that has direct connection with these dark energies or nefarious forces that are behind the operations of such evil and heinous crimes in the United States, like 55 million abortions, okay? 55 million abortions, or many people don't know this, but let me tell you this. All the concentration camps in Poland that the Nazis built, they didn't build them. They were built by the Jesuits.
Oh, my gosh.
Jesuit officers like Himmler, he was a Jesuit officer. Wow. Stalin was a Jesuit officer. Wow. The Jesuits are behind all of this. And they aligned a perfect pentagram in Poland with all the 5 major extermination camps.
Oh, my gosh.
They tied down the people. They killed more than 12 million Christians. People think about the 6 million Jews. What about the 12 million Protestants and Lutherans and Christians alike that were killed? What about the 50 million Russians that were killed in World War II? Everybody talks about the 6 million poor Jews. What about the rest of the people? Sure. These people were out to get Christians, no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. And it's not in the history books because they control education. And what I want to tell people is that these ley lines that were built at Treblinka, and they were built at Krakow, and they were built at Auschwitz and all those places. All these ley lines connect independently to Dublin. They connect to other parts in France. I forget the name right now. They connect all the way to Tehran. They connect to Rome, where they practice the Saturnalia. And one of the missions of the Jesuits was to entrap these 18 million souls in these ley lines to give more demonic power to the power elite from Rome. Amazing. So when people tell me, oh, Alexander, you're talking about conspiracy theories, these are not conspiracy theories because we have the evidence of the map itself of them forming a perfect pentagram with the 5. Just look at the death list, okay, that the Nazis used. IBM gave them the database systems, typing out every single person that went to those extermination centers, okay? Why would they make such a perfect list? of people going in if they were just going to kill them off anyway? Why didn't they just use machine guns? I'm going to tell you why. I just did a series of 8 shows on this in Spanish. I'm going to tell you why, so you really get the hang of what evil truly is and how it's gonna be unleashed upon this world. And if you haven't accepted Jesus Christ in your heart right now and asked him to save your soul with his blood at Calvary, I mean, you are totally fried, okay? And let me tell you why. When we talk about these centers and the list that went into the very meticulous listing of the people that were going to be killed, and those lists are in possession of the United States government right now, I can tell you that, because they still believe that there is demonic power and influence over all the events that happened back in 1939 through 45.
Wow.
And one of the things that I want to share with people is that many people are trying to say there's new people, you know, Jeff Renz and all these people are coming out and saying, no, you know, the Holocaust never happened. It wasn't 6 million Jews. It was more like 350,000. And they were killed because there was so much pestilence and there were typhoid fever and all this and that at the concentration camps. That is false. Because the only way you can explain off the shackles on the beds that they used on the stretchers. They use these stretchers to transport the bodies. Okay. They tied them down alive with shackles on the stretchers while they took them to the ovens. They burned them alive.
Wow.
They burned the people alive. The objective of the Holocaust was to burn people alive because they wanted to torment these souls. And let me tell you something else, because you can't explain that off like, no, they were just getting rid of the evidence, or they were trying to, get rid of disease. No, that is not true. They were burning them alive. How else can you explain the shackles? If they were dead bodies, you wouldn't need shackles on the stretchers.
I mean, that's a great point. Who in their right mind would use shackles on a dead body? I mean, really? Come on.
Okay, because they were alive. And the other thing that is just terrible in itself is that they would just put them in the oven for 2 minutes and then take them out and put them in the mass graves. And that was the operation. I mean, they redefined satanic manifestation, okay? The Jesuit operation. They designed everything that went on. Leukowitz and everybody, the Pope, I can't remember his name right now. I have to go into my notes, but I mean, these people are so evil that the Illuminati is pale in comparison to what they are. And that's why Alex Jones never talks about them, because he would get sued for it, or he would lose his status. They would not let him speak out openly about these things. Now, I'm gonna recommend a webpage if you want to continue researching. That is one-evil.org. Okay? If you want to go into the deep research there and read for yourself, that webpage can show you what I'm talking about. And I got to commend these people. Yeah.
For those of you that will listen to this later on, that's one-evil.org. ONE.
And after I did the research and I proved it for myself, these people are right on track. Okay? Right on track. So once we do the research, we know that these people had to belong to these institutions for them to come out on the internet and publish this stuff. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make pentagrams of evil up and align them with cities like Baalbek and Zurich and Odessa and Jerusalem. You cannot do that. You cannot do this at random. And we know that the Pope is hell-bent on taking control of Jerusalem as well. So when we see this ecumenism and this new emergent church forming and everything bringing out, and John Hagee coming out with his 4 blood moons, but John Hagee also saying, well, look, being homosexual is okay. Everybody's part of the Church of Jesus, right? Everybody can repent. Well, it's true. They live in sin. But I'm not gonna support what they're trying to do with this proselytizing anti-heterosexual attitudes. And I'm not going to defend the Jewish orthodoxy because it's in the Bible that I have to pray for Israel. People are confused which type of Israel we're talking about. And this is what really gets me, because everybody's so pro-Israel. Have you really documented yourself and read what they have done to the Palestinian people? until you come into terms with what the Zionist Rothschild Empire has done with that satanic flag of a country, then we can talk about Christianity. Because if you think you are Christian and you're supporting a country that has more abortions per capita than the United States, then you're sorely mistaken. When you're supporting a country and praying for a country that has the number one capital of homosexuals in the world, like Sodom and Gomorrah, where do you think the word sodomy comes from? Okay? And what did God do to these people at Sodom and Gomorrah and other three cities back in the day? He destroyed them. And what's going to happen in the United States? God is going to destroy the United States because the United States is that emulation of the state of Israel itself. It's the great emulation of a great state that could have been and now turned its back on God. And what has it become? It has become Great Babylon. And what's going to come? Terrible things are coming, but not to you. If you're Christian, nothing's going to happen to you. You see, and that's what I don't get, Daniel. People are so in fear of what's coming. Hey, I'm celebrating that I'm going to the prison systems. Hey, I'm celebrating I'm going to be taken out in the name of Jesus. Why? Because I know that Jesus already conquered this world for me. I know that I'm going to go up to heaven. I'm not afraid anymore. That's why I can speak openly about these things, and I'm not afraid.